Well, we're here with Tommy Depke again for another installment of Tommy's Favorite Creations. Tommy, why don't you give us just a quick one-sentence or so description of what we're going to see today?
Well, I built this robot from scratch, and it follows a line on a certified path.
Okay. Could you show us the, I think you have a schematic from a book. Why don't you show us the cover of the book?
So this book is the Robot Builder's Bonanza.
Okay.
You got me for me. And I found this schematic in the book for how my robot would work. And but I modified it a little bit. Instead of these ICs, I used the 272 here.
And then what's the 272?
Instead of the 339, because this is a comparator, which is electronic component thing, and this right here is TTL logic, and the 272 is actually an op-amp, but it works as a comparator, and that is CMOS logic. Okay. And then I also, because they both suggested using TTL for these, I changed that to CMOS because I don't have any TTL gates.
Okay.
So yeah, I use the 4070 here and the 4011 right here.
That's interesting. You brought up the TTL and CMOS. Now, the other day you were telling me about why you like one over the other. And why don't you tell me what your feelings are on CMOS versus TTL?
Well, CMOS I like better because you can use higher voltages. Like you can hook up 9 volts right to the positive power supply of the integrated circuits. And plus, it's more like the logic is more. It's either high or low. It's not like a little bit of voltage and then like a lot certified voltage level, which is like TTL.
Okay.
So that's why I like CMOS better than TTL. And that's what I also use for my robot, of course.
Okay, great. Well, why don't? Okay, so that was the schematic that you chose to model this on, and so it sounds like you merged the schematic from that book with some other ideas from another book that I think your Uncle Bob got you.
Oh yeah.
And you want to? I don't know if you want to say a little bit about that, or you.
Well, I just want to give a thanks to Uncle Bob because he got me that book, and I wouldn't even have the parts to build this if he didn't get me that.
Right, it was a book and a kit, I believe, right?
Yeah, and then I just built my own project made up from the kit.
Right. Okay, great. So let's take a look at your robot, and why don't I give you a pencil so that you can point out the different pieces on here instead of using your fingers. It might be a little bit easier.
All right. Well, first of all, I had this little tiny chip. If you can see it right over there. It's a little
yeah, I think we can just make it out.
Black one. And then that is the 272 that I use, which has the op-amps that I use for comparators.
Okay.
And so this controls both of these LEDs and the the inputs. This gives an output from if I can take this cover off.
Oh, yeah, that's nice, thanks.
There's 2 LEDs right here, and below that you can't really see it, but way down there there's 2 photoresistors, which I use for the sensors. And so the LEDs just they just stay on the whole time when the circuit is turned on. And then depending on if there's like barely any light reflected off from the light that's being reflected into the photosensors, if there's barely any light being reflected, then that would be it would send low, and then since there's 2 of those photoresistors, so if it was low, this LED right here would be off. But if this somehow slipped onto this reflective wrapping paper right here, and then the light would be bounced into the photosensor, and this LED would turn on. And same thing with the other side. And so those logic signals would go to these 2 integrated circuits, which are the 4070 and the 4011. And the reason those are there, I don't actually need them, but so that if the robot, like if the sensor, if this was the tape and then here's the sensors, if they were bigger than the tape, then it would work normally. But smaller than the tape, then they would work. If it was designed for smaller than the tape, then Well, never mind. It's just that these just help it so that it works with
Well-
different types of tape.
Okay, but those are the logic portions of your circuit, right? From that
Yeah.
diagram, it looked like those were some logic chips. I forget what type of gates they were. Do you know what kind?
Oh yeah, this one, the 4070 is an exclusive OR gate. And it's actually a pack of 4, but I used only one of them. And then the 4011 is 4 NAND gates, and I used 2 of those. And so after it goes through these 2 chips, the pulses are originally set to control the motors. But since motors actually, they can reduce the voltage, the current by a lot. So I had to have, let me see which one. I think it's, I don't know, whichever wires. They go, both of those wires go to these 2, which are the just simple NPN bipolar transistors. And then since this goes right to here, and it can, these can operate on low current. So
And low voltages?
yeah, and low voltages. So then I can hook right up to the emitter right here, an even bigger battery pack, separate battery pack, so that
So those are being used to switch these the servo motor. It looks like, right?
well, yeah, I'm not sure if they're servos or not, but
Okay.
yeah. And then those go straight after that. They go straight to the motors.
Okay. Well, that's a really great explanation. One last thing, it looks like, and it looks like you've got these other pieces right here.
Yep. Oh, these just go back to the 272 at the front, because these.
But what are they exactly, though?
These are just potentiometers, variable resistors.
Okay.
So that you can, in case there's different amounts of light, you can calibrate the sensors in the front so that it'll work.
Great.
That way.
Well, that's a wonderful explanation. Do you think we could have a little demo and see it actually running?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So let's see this in action, Tommy.
Yep.
So it's following that silver line there
Yep.
on this paper.
And then you can see the LEDs, how the sensors can tell the difference between the light and dark.
So that's when it crosses a threshold, and then it determines it's got to turn one way or the other.
Yep. And also, I kind of forgot to explain it before, but the reason I put this black cover on is so that it'll light from outside won't like interfere like it with the sensors, like my shadow right now.
So you can focus on.
I can kind of move, and it won't pick up my shadow.
Right.
Because that cover's blocking out the light.
Yeah, that's always one of the tricky things about light detection is to calibrate the light sensor. But that's really nice how you because you had to do all this calibration yourself.
Yep.
All right, well that's great, Tommy. Thanks again for another installment of Tommy's Favorite Creations, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Yep.
All right.